Hey, welcome back to a new video. So I'm going to take things a little bit differently this time. I'm going to try to min-max as much as possible and explain in depth what I am doing. Unfortunately, when you commentate, it's very easy to kind of get out of the flow of the game and just kind of lose your focus and all that. I'm going to try my hardest to not do that. Who knows if this playthrough will be successful, but none other than a civ that somebody requested me to play not too long ago. Babylon. Babylon is really good, as you can see. Receives a free Great Scientist when you discover writing. Earn Great Scientist 50% faster. Babylon also has the Bowman. It is an archer replacement, and it does the same damage as an archer, but it's a bit more defensive physically. They have the Walls of Babylon, which are a walls replacement, and they're a lot more durable than regular walls. And as for our setup, 6 civs, Pangea, whatever. I want to do Continents again sometime. The Continents is actually kind of fun, but not as Babylon. Babylon, in a perfect world, would be very isolated, and they can generate a bajillion scientists, and it's the best thing ever. Strategic balance is on. Strategic balance means that we're going to get 7 oil, 6 iron, and 4 horses in our starting location of our settler. So if we move, we don't necessarily get them, but where our settler spawns, we are for certain to get them. And every civ has them. And we're playing on epic speed, as you all know. So let me go ahead and try to play this game and try to explain in depth as much as possible what I will be doing.
May the blessings of heaven be upon you, O great Nebuchadnezzar, father of...
Alright, so first things first. Because Babylon is such a science-focused civ, and because Babylon excels at generating great scientists, I want to go tradition. Just off the bat. Why do we want to go tradition? Tradition is, in general, 9 times out of 10 better than liberty, and tradition generates great people more often. That's my 2 main reasons why I want to go tradition. However, you can't really decide ahead of time whether or not you're going tradition or liberty. You have to kind of deduce it on your lands. Tradition does well when there's a lot of growth, and liberty does well when there's not a lot of growth and there's a lot of gold. So let's see here. This is a river system with the mountain. It's looking like tradition basically instantly, and I do want to settle on top of this mountain so I get an observatory. However, unfortunately, I do not have any immediate good tiles to work. My best tile is either this 2-2 or this 1-1-2. These are my best tiles to immediately work. And because I want to save the most amount of time, because the sooner I can settle, the better, I don't particularly want to check out this hill or something and risk even more. Babylon has an avoid tundra start bias, so there's a pretty high chance that if I move down here, there's no tundra. And I also don't want to move too far away from my dyes. There's also sheep up here. Furthermore, if I settle right here, I could still build Petra, which for me is not really useful at all, but it is useful to take it away from an opponent. So that is my thought process. My horses, probably in one of these plains tiles. My iron, probably one of these hills, or right here. My oil, probably in one of these 2 tiles. I actually don't know if oil can spawn on floodplains, but it likes to spawn in deserts. So because I want to work a good tile and I still want to be in this area, I may just have to suck it up and settle right here and work these 2 food tiles. What I could also do is try scouting over here with my warrior onto the copper area and seeing if there's another luxury, so that way, since I will be out of the range of my dyes, it'll be okay. And maybe I could settle on top of the copper. So first, I don't want to scout up here. I see no resources, I see no river, and I see no immediate settlement spots. I suppose I could and get something useful, but it's too much of a risk. So I'm going to move here first. So now there's bison, and there's sheep. So immediately off the bat, I'm gravitating toward this area even more. If I settle right here, it's basically the exact same. I get my dyes, I get my sheep copper, except now I also pick up this sheep and this bison. However, there's also hills over here, which makes me want this area even more. So I could step to this copper, and this copper's on a hill, so we could get pretty good vision, but the mountain is blocking it, so I'm instead going to step to this hill to get the maximum amount of vision. You can also see right here, the terrain looks weird. That should mean that there's coast right there. so settling on this hill would be even better for coast. Okay, it was not coast, it was instead another mountain. Given this information, where do I want to settle? Well, I really want the mountain as Babylon, because Babylon has a lot of science, and the reason I want to settle on a mountain is because I want to go to astronomy and research observatories. Observatories give the city plus 50% science, although I have not tested this out myself, but I've heard from the community it's more like plus 20%, but it's still really good. If I settle here, I'm out of my dyes and it becomes a 1 luxury capital. I still think I want to do it though, because in some tradition I'll eventually grow this way, and I also might have a second city. I'm also willing to take the risk that something will be down here. However, what I am not enthused about is that there's a lot of mountains that I can't work. But settling right here will get me more hills and it will get me more river tiles to work with, so I think I'm going to do it. So now that I've settled here, I need to be a bit more efficient with my warrior. Well, first let's let the turn roll over first. Okay, so I could try to get some information with my warrior to influence any more settlement spots, but I don't want to delay it too much. No matter what, if I were to move and settle, it would still take a whole other turn, so I think I'm just going to settle in place. And there's tundra. Good. So I may have made the wrong move, but luckily it's all hills. This is a very high production area, and I'm settling on the copper, which gives me the gold. It does not give me the happiness yet until I research iron. Mining. Let's go ahead and work this. Growth is a lot more important than production early on, and it's growing to these sheep, which I guess is okay. Don't have a lot of growth in this capital, so ideally I would eventually get out to the bison. So I think next up is I want to scout around here. It's a lot of easy terrain for my warrior to navigate, and since my warrior is not a scout, he, or I guess the gentleman here, cannot really scout this rough terrain very well, so I'm going to have him come up here instead. So the best way to do it, I think, is to go to this Granny Smith's, move to this bison, and then probably move to this hill. It's good to end turns on hills, so that way you can get the maximum amount of vision. Now, for my city, I'm going to make a scout. It's always good to make at least one scout, no matter what your game plan is. The amount of information you get from scouting is way too important, and because there's all this rough terrain here, it would be even better. As for my research, I have a couple of options. I have pottery, animal husbandry, archery, or mining. So, mining unlocks masonry and bronze working. Masonry is not immediately useful. It does give me my walls of Babylon, which is cool. However, I have no marshes or quarries in my range of my city, and I probably am not going traditions, so the pyramids aren't good. Bronze working is really good because it gives me iron, and also because I have copper, I can get the pantheon that is faith from copper, iron, and salt. So I could do mining to that. Archery is not immediately useful to me whatsoever. It does unlock the bowman in the Temple of Artemis, but because this is Deity, it's basically impossible to get wonders this early on, minus like maybe 1 in a very rare scenario. And archery does not unlock anything immediately, so I'm not going to archery first. Animal husbandry is good. It will help reveal my horses, and it might, like, let's say my horses are here, my city could grow there, and it'd be another 1-2 tile on top of these sheep, which would be really nice. And then lastly, there's pottery. I'm going to go pottery. The reason is because of the shrine. Religions are incredibly good in this game, and the religions are basically like insurance. So I'm trying to ensure my civ that I can get religion. I see a couple of good pantheons. I see desert faith, which by working these tiles would be 3 faith, which is, it's okay. I see faith from copper, iron, and salt, which is good because I don't have to waste the citizen to work it. And there's other stuff too. But there's a bigger reason why we're going pottery. Pottery unlocks sailing, calendar, and writing. If you remember from my unique ability, writing is a tech of interest because it gives me my great scientist, which I am then going to plop down on a tile, maybe this like sheep tile for example, and then start working the 8 science, which is, if you say I have 4 science, if I start working 8, that's 12. That's a lot of science early on, right? It's 3 times the amount of science I have right now once I get to 8. And another reason I like to go pottery is, well, the granary is good for food. I actually don't have any wheat, bananas, and deer, but it's still pretty good, and it allows you to send trade routes. But also, if I get a tech ruin after I research pottery, let's say I research pottery and I get a tech ruin, each tech has an equal chance. So I have a 50% chance to get one of these techs or a 50% chance to get one of these techs. This costs 55 science, this costs 87 science. So I want to go for pottery first in case I get a tech ruin. Me personally, this is one of the biggest drives for pottery, and that's why I like to do it first. And pretty much every civ always goes pottery first. Okay, so now the warrior, we're going to step here. Here's some wheat. It is not in the range of my capital. My capital can only work 1, 2, 3 once the borders grow, so I cannot work this. I see another mountain here and more rough terrain. I think I might put my warrior here, and then I can cross this wheat, and there's probably hills over here, or I could step into that forest. So I'm going to end the turn on this hill. Okay, more copper and some cows and some wheat. Most likely another city up here with all the growth and production. So, now that that's done, we're not gonna come this way. We're gonna instead step on this wheat. Here's some information. More mountains over here. You can't see over mountains, and this is more rough terrain, so I'm probably gonna get out of this area. I'm instead gonna step on this forest. I could step here. This would reveal, stepping here would reveal these tiles, which might be fine. You know, I could probably step here and then there. Or I could step here. It would reveal these tiles, but it might get me out of rough terrain faster. It's kind of a toss-up. Which one do I want? Do I want to basically play it safe and get out of this rough terrain, or be greedy and get more vision now and potentially be in rough terrain still? I think I'll be greedy. Okay. So, we could immediately step into this forest. It would give us a lot of information. We could step here, and then over here. Or we could go this way or on top of that hill. I really want to get out of this area. It's not very good for my vision. And stepping here, all this would do would reveal these tiles and this tile. And since I'm going to step here anyways, these are going to get revealed. So really it would only reveal this tile, which visually it looks like a mountain. I can't really tell that. It might be like a hill or something. So I could step here. I don't really want to, I kind of want to leave no stone unturned though. That's just my personal philosophy when I play. So, what do I want to do? Here or here? I think I'm gonna go this way. Alright, found some ruins. So, even if I stepped here and then there, I still would have found these ruins. So I basically made the wrong play, but it's fine. So, a few things. If this ruin upgrades my warrior into a spearman, I run out of moves for that turn. And that's like a 1 in whatever chance, right? Basically all types of ruin bonuses would be good right now, minus maps. Actually map wouldn't be bad, but a barbarian ruin is useless. Barbarian ruins are the worst ones. You don't want them. I am going to step on here and hope that I don't get an upgrade. Okay, good. Culture. That is fantastic. It would have taken me 35 turns to get to tradition, but now I can get to tradition instantly. Unlocking tradition off the bat gives me 3 culture, so I go from 1 to 3 a turn, which is an absurd amount. Now I'm going to keep going this way. In fact, I might go up a bit more. Here's a river. That's good to keep in mind, and also a unique lux. Somehow in this city, I might be able to take advantage of these dyes and this, of these wines and this copper and these wheat and all that. Although it might be more along the lines of settlement on this river for this wine. I want to see this river for a settlement spot. That is, on Deity, that's particularly what I'm more concerned about, settlement spots, not ruins. Because the AI is probably going to get all the ruins ahead of me. So we want to follow this river. How do we want to do this? I could go this way. It's kind of hard to tell which is the best move here. Might go up and then on the river. I think I might go up. Okay, here's the city-state. That's good. So I want to meet the city-state next turn. And because I want to do that, I'm going to have to step here, here, or here. Basically, that means I'm not going to move here. I could either move here and get some information. There's a marsh right here. Or I could move here. Moving here would still get me information, and it would allow me to meet the city-state and then cross the river next turn. let's go ahead and end this move and then end the episode. What do I want to do? So reveal these tiles, and then I have to come back around. I think I'm going to go this way. Okay, here's the city-state. Let's get tradition. And now we're at 4. So that's 13 turns until we get oligarchy. We don't actually care about oligarchy. We care about legalism. This is going to give my capital a free monument, and it's going to save me a lot of production. Also, because now I'm generating a lot of culture, and because I have the tradition opener, which greatly increases the rate of border expansion, my capital is going to grow a lot faster to these sheep. 4 turns till. I don't know what it said before, but it's way more now. And also my capital is just making a lot more culture now. Anyways, that's going to be it. Thanks for watching.